Okay, we are good to go. You are welcome. Let's set the ball rolling. The last time we stopped at verse 11, but let's read the whole text, the 7 verses. And the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly and multiplied and waxed exceeding mighty, and the land was filled with them. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, Behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply. And it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. Therefore they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens, and they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramses. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew, and they were grieved because of the children of Israel. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor, and they made their lives bitter with hard bondage in mortar and in brick and in all manner of service in the field. All their service wherein they made them serve was with rigor. Amen. Amen. I think you are muted.
Amen.
Okay. So far, any questions?
Is this for 1 hour?
Is that good? Can you still hear?
Yeah, channel.
Okay. But I said, do you have any questions?
No.
So we can address it.
No.
And then, okay. Now, so can you see my screen? Right? Can you see? I'm sharing.
Yeah.
What can you see there?
The what thin country of Egypt.
Okay, that's good. That's good. That's what I want.
It's very small. I don't know whether it's my eyes. Yeah, it's okay.
Okay. So what I have on the screen, right, as for at least the past 3 weeks, what I've introduced you to is that when you get a test like this, you want to look at what we call the classes in the test that you can identify. A class is any word that can stand for multiple things, right? And then you have the elements. So if you take a class, each class will contain elements. Therefore, we say a class is the equivalent of a set in mathematics, right? So a set will contain elements. So every class you identify in a test will contain elements. So for example, in the test we are dealing with, we could identify a class like the land of Egypt, right? The land of Egypt will contain cities. And cities will contain towns, right? So the land of Egypt is like a parent set. A city is like a subset of a parent set. So the land of Egypt we'll call it the country of Egypt is the parent set of everything we are coming to deal with, right? Under country of Egypt, we have persons and non-persons as subclasses, right? So let me demonstrate with what I'm talking about, right? So I'll start with the top object, right? And then I will introduce what comes after it. Here we call it the country, right? And then we have Egypt, the country of Egypt, as an example, as a subset of country, right?
So what is, excuse me, what is the OWL thing?
It is the superset of everything. Like the whole world will be one, will contain everything, right? So take the thing, the whole thing as the whole world, the universe, as one set. And then you have subsets of it, right? So if you take the universe, a subset of the universe is what we call country, right? Each country you have, Ghana, Nigeria, Togo, USA, what, right? And then under a parent set country, right, you have a specific country, right? So here we have dealing with the country called Egypt. So Egypt is a subset of country, which itself is a subset of thing, right? Is that making sense? Okay. So on the country of Egypt, we have non-persons and persons. So on the country of Egypt, we have the non-persons, right? Anything that is not a person, like land and everything, is not a person. So we have the non-person here, right? Under non-person, we have the land of Egypt, right? Are you following? Right?
Why the land of Egypt comes under non-person?
Because it's a land, it's not a person. Because we've divided a country into persons and non-persons, right? Okay. So on that land of Egypt, we have city, right? So city is a subset of the land of Egypt, right? We are doing this so we'll make sense of the text as it is, right? Under city, we have something named here, the Bible calls it treasure city that the children of Israel built, right?
Which they built for the king.
For the king, we'll see, right? We'll see everything. And then you see your lines, broken lines coming, right? So we've built the hierarchy for the non-person, right? The non-person includes the land of Egypt. The land of Egypt includes cities, right? And one of the cities is called Treasure City, and it will have 2 towns in it, right? Pithom, Pithom and Ramses, because they have been mentioned in the text. Okay, now that we've done with non-person, let's look at person, right? Person, let's put it here, right? And under person, we will have the people of Egypt, right? All the people of Egypt. Are you following? Okay. All the people of Egypt will come here, right? And then under the people of Egypt, we see that the term Egyptian, right, has been mentioned. So we bring Egyptian here, right? We also see the children of Israel, which we call them Israelite people here, right? Just to shorten the name, right? We have Israelite. Now, you see, all of a sudden, all the wiggle lines are because, and I will explain, your trick is to look at the broken lines and the solid lines, right? The solid line traces the parentage, the hierarchy. So if you look here, you will see that these are solid line. This is a solid line. This is a solid line. But these are broken lines. The broken lines actually give you the relationship between the individuals. Are you getting the picture clear? And I will explain. Because all of these are coming from the text, right? Now, under the people of Israel, we have the ancestor of Israel, which here will be Joseph, the one the Pharaoh claimed he didn't know, right? Okay. Now, the next thing with the people, we want to identify the king, right? More broken line. More broken lines, right? We see, let's see if we can, let's put it here, right? We see the king, right? And part of the people, because the king is a term that includes many kings, one of which will be the new king we'll meet here, right? And then the text tells us in verse 9 that he said unto his people, and we've tagged the people that the king spoke to as king people, right? So we'll take and bring the king people here, right? Let's draw them closer. The king people, right? And then we have tax masters. More, right? And you will begin to see the broken lines from the tax masters that connects to the Israelite, the people of Israel, right? Because the text is heavily concentrated on the activities of the tax masters vis-a-vis the Israelites. Are you understanding why? Okay. Now, the next group, actually, we call them the enemy of Egypt, and it could be a country also, right? Definitely a country. Because they will not be Egyptians. And so they will not be part of the people of Egypt, but they will be part of the superset, right? So if you bring
enemy of Egypt,
Egypt here, you will see that it has to go. You see, it's connecting the king people as well as the Israelite people, right? And you see it connecting the country of Egypt. Okay. Now, then you remember we said non-persons, right? The non-persons will include what we call the method of servitude, because that's the burdens, the burdens and the hard bondage. We want to identify them. Who used it against whom? We are identifying. Are you getting the sense of what is happening? Okay. So under
which one is the
method of servitude?
What is this one? Method of what?
Servitude, right? Servitude has to do with servants, right? And because actually a servitude is slavery, right? So we see the tax masters being set over the Israelites to afflict them with their burdens, right? And so we've realized that the word burden is a class, because there were different things that will constitute burden, right? And so under method of servitude, we have burden, right? And if you look at it, let me minimize it a little. Okay. Right? If you look at burden and the broken line, right, you realize that it connects mostly the tax masters, right? Look at the tax master. Can you see the broken line from here? Tax master, and then look at the broken line from the burden. You realize that it goes to the people of Israel. Yeah, you're getting how this thing is. Okay. Then the next thing is hard bondage. Hard bondage, we realize that it is still part of the method of, in fact, it is a subset of the method of servitude. But look at where it connects. You realize, look at the broken line. It connects to the Egyptians, not the taskmasters. Are you following?
To the Egyptians, okay.
Yes. And then look at the other broken line from it. You realize that it connects to the Israelite people. Very interesting. So this tool helps you to understand the text at a deeper level. Who does what to whom? Is that making sense? So if I want to see, for example, the treasure city, right? Things that are related to treasure city, let me look at the broken line from this treasure city. Look at what it reads. You realize that it traces to the king. Look at the broken line, right? You see the arrow is pointing to the king, right?
Oh, it goes straight to the king. Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so between treasure city and the king, it's ownership. It says treasure city is owned by the king. Because the Israelites built it for the king. Are you getting how this thing is? So again, once you do something like this, you have a tool, you organize your test, this whole thing becomes such an interesting, nuanced text, right? And we'll explore it, right? So I'm going to leave this, but we'll now go. I want you to keep your eyes on your text, right? I want you to keep your eye on the text itself, and let's begin to break it down and make sense, right? So, verse 7 tells us that, and the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly and multiplied and waxed exceedingly mighty, and the land was filled with them. Right? So we see two containers there, the children of Israel and then the land of Egypt. Are you understanding?
Mm-hmm.
The connection between the children of Israel and the land of Egypt is that the children of Israel filled the land of Egypt. That's the relationship. The word filled, as used in verse 7, is what connects the children of Israel as a container or class to the class called land of Egypt. Is that making sense?
Mm-hmm.
So if we go and we look for the people of Israel, Israelite people, and we trace it to the land of Egypt, right?
Mm-hmm.
We will see, let's see, where is the land of Egypt? Did we bring it there? Land of Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
I think I didn't. Okay, let's see. Whole thing. I didn't bring the land of Egypt, right? But everything. Oh, okay. This is the land of Egypt, right? Because it's non-person. Now, look at the connection between the people of Israel, the Israelite people, and the land of Egypt. So let's look at the broken line that connects them. Can you see what is written there?
Mm-hmm.
Has filled the land. And what is that land? Land of Egypt. Who filled it? Israelite people. You see how, is that making sense? So again, make sense of the solid line. The solid line will give you the the parentage, the hierarchy, right? The subset, the set and the subset. The broken lines will give you the relationship between the sets. Is that making sense now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, so in verse 7, the author has painted a picture of prosperity. Do we agree? Because he said, 1, the children of Israel were fruitful. 2, they increased abundantly. 3, they multiplied. And 4, they waxed exceeding mighty, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those attributes only apply to the Israelites. Mm-hmm. And their connection to the land was that they filled it.
Mm-hmm.
Is that making sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We could actually decide to create another container called prosperity, and there put everything, the multiply, the grow, and everything there, and we'll trace it to only the children of Israel. Are you understanding? And then you see the same thing connecting the children of Israel and that prosperity container.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, when we come to verse 8, the Bible said, look at it. It said, now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we have a new king. That king will be part of the king container here.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
The Pharaoh.
The Pharaoh and the king are the same.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't even bother to put the Pharaoh. They are the same. Right? So we have three things, three sets or classes named in verse 8. The class of the kings, right? Egypt as a country, and then Joseph, who was an ancestor of the children of Israel. And that is why we have, if you look at the solid line between ancestor and people of Israel, you see that it's actually a subset of the Israelite people. If I decide to show the individual in there, you will see Joseph's name. But this is saying that this king arose and simply said he did not know the ancestor of the Israelites. Is that making sense? Because that ancestor, the ancestor class, will include as an element Joseph. Is that making sense?
Yeah,
so verse 8 gives us three classes. But look at the relationship between the first class and the second class. The relationship between the king class and the Egypt class. And the relationship is one of arising over, because it is in the text. It says, now there arose up a new king over Egypt. So arise over will be the relationship between the king class and the Egypt class. Are you getting the picture clear? Okay. Now, between the king and the ancestor class where Joseph is to be found, the relationship is one of ignorance, because he says the king did not know Joseph. You see how we are going about it, right? Now, between the class called Egypt and the class called ancestor, let's see if we could trace something, right? So if we look at the country Egypt, can we see a connection between it and the ancestor, right? I think I didn't capture that. But if you go there, the text, in fact, let me introduce it here, right? If I open this and I show you the relationship between the ancestor, right? And the ancestor, the instance of that ancestor, you see Joseph. Are you not getting?
Joseph was an
Joseph,
ancestor,
right? It's an ancestor. So he belongs to the Israelite
people.
To the ancestor. The ancestor is a subclass of the Israelite people. Are you not getting the picture clear? Very interesting way of looking at this text, right? And you and I know, we know that he saved Egypt from famine. So between the class ancestor, which is a subclass of the people of Israel, and the country of Egypt, it was one of salvation. He saved Egypt from famine, right? And that was the man, the king, the new king, who had arisen over Egypt, said he didn't know. Are you not getting the?
Did he know, or he didn't know for real? He had a motive.
Let the text talk, and by the end, we'll realize that it was just an excuse. It was just an excuse to enable him to implement the agenda, execute the agenda he had. Is that making sense? Okay. Now, so we can show everything by moving here and there. So let's go back to our diagram, right? It's beginning to make sense now, right? Okay. Now let's go to verse 9. Verse 9 says, and he said unto his people, which people? Here, you will think this king had arisen over the whole of Egypt, right? Because that's what we've been made to understand in verse 8, right? And the whole of Egypt, the country of Egypt, includes non-persons and persons. And one of the subclasses of non-person is the land of Egypt, right? Do you get the picture? So this new king arose over land and people. So the country of Egypt was made up of people and land. Are you getting the picture clear? So when he spoke to his people, we want to know which of the people, because when we look at the class of the people, we realize that there are different groups there. We have the taskmasters, we have the Egyptians, we have the children of Israel, right? Right? Yep. And then call it the collective people. So he was supposed to be the king. So when he spoke to his people, it had to be where it had to be the audience had to be the totality of the people of Egypt. But we realized from the text that from what he said, part of the people, at least a segment, could not be present. So we've given that audience, the people called the people he spoke to, we've tagged them king people. So that's what, yeah. Are you getting the picture clear? King people. Now, let's look at the connection between the king people, the king, and the king people, right? What did he say to them? Let's look at the connection. He said, king people is informed of Israel's danger. Because in verse 10, that's exactly what he told them, right? So between the king and the people he spoke to, it was one of passing on knowledge of facts designed, right, to paint a picture, right, to justify whatever he wanted to do. Is that making sense? Right? Again, so make sense of everything there. Every class and the lines that connect from one class to the other will tell you what was happening. And that's how you actually master a text. Is that making sense? So between the king and the people he spoke to in verse 9, right? He was about to pass on a certain information concerning the people. So let's look at verse 9. Verse 9, how many classes do we identify? We still see the king. So we have the king talking to the king people, talking about who? The children of Israel. In verse 9. So if we look again between the king people and the children of Israel, right, you realize that they were receiving information from the king about the children of Israel. And what was the information? The danger or the dangers posed by the children of Israel. And how do we know? In verse 9, he says, the children of Israel are more and mightier than the non-Israelite Egyptians. Hero. Right? And then in verse 10, he continues that first, because of certain facts, let's look at the facts. What we call premise, because he was presenting an argument, right? the premises he gives in verse 10, right, is that if the people of Israel, Egypt didn't do anything, one, the children of Israel will multiply.
Mm-hmm.
Two, when war, which was a certainty because he used the word when, not if, right? When war broke out, he said, one, the children of Israel who would have grown more and multiplied by that time, they would also join to the enemies of Israel, the enemies of Egypt. Right? Are you not getting the picture?
Mm-hmm.
And then the combined forces of the enemies of Egypt, which would constitute a group that is outside Egypt, an external enemy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Israel will join to an external enemy to fight Egypt. Now, do you get the picture he has painted?
Mm-hmm.
He has already said the children of Israel are more in number and stronger in might than the Egyptians. Are you getting the picture he laid? So even if in terms of fighting, the Israelites and the Egyptians should fight, according to him, Israel would win because they had numerical advantage as well as strength advantage.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go back to verse 7, with the sort of prosperity they had, Egypt had no chance. Are you not getting the picture he had painted? And now add that to the number of external enemies. So the point he was making is, hey, these people, we cannot win a war with them. Now think about the fact that they have greater numbers than us. They are stronger than us. Now they join to our external enemy, which is to say, the children of Israel was an internal enemy. You see the picture he had painted, right? And what would you do with an internal enemy?
They try to destroy them.
You want to destroy them. You see, the author doesn't have to state all this, but that's the deduction, right? You make. So he said, with this fact that they will join to our enemy, and it's not only a matter of joining them and giving them moral support, they will actually fight us. Oh, it's one thing to give somebody moral support. It is another thing to join that person to prosecute an agenda. And that's exactly what he said. They will not only join forces with our external enemies, they will join them and then they will fight us. And already their numbers as internal threat, their numbers are more than us. Grim picture, right? So on that battle day, on the day of battle, Israel will have more fighters. And they will have fighters who are stronger than Egyptians. What chance would Egypt have? None. And then look at the additional numbers from external enemies. Too much. And he said, now the perplexing aspect of the text, folks, was what he added as the last point, so that the children of Israel would get out of the land. That is the complication in the text. Because, folks, if you have identified an internal enemy, wouldn't you want that enemy gone? Right? But why are you afraid that that internal enemy will go? Because of the fact that Egypt's prosperity was in the hands of the internal traits. You see the complication? Yeah. But again, let me paint something for you why a test like this is important and for us to understand the dilemma of the king, right? One of the things we have to understand about any government is that it wants to bring some sort of equity within the system, right? It's not good for all the wealth of the nation to belong or to be in the hands of only a small section. As much as possible, everybody deserves a share of the national cake. Are you getting the picture clear? That is the highest aspiration of any government.
No.
Yes, actually, that's what it should be.
That's what it should be, but that is not.
Yeah. We know what you are saying. That is what it should be. But is it really? I mean, really ever the case?
No.
Right. So again, the author is trying to tell us about the human condition. Learn from this. Is that making sense? Learn from this. So in verse 10, the king presents the danger as well as the plan of action to mitigate the danger as presented. What was the number one thing about the plan of action? He said, let us use wisdom. Are you understanding? Because he said, let us deal wisely with them. Yes, so let us use wisdom to deal with this complicated situation where we've identified the enemy within. And the ideal will be for that enemy within to leave our shores. But here is the complication in the matter. We don't want that enemy to leave because our prosperity is in their hands.
Is that why he said, and so get them? I don't understand
because
that.
Because the aspiration of the people. Yeah, because
fight against us,
and
so get them out
of the land, because they will use that as an opportunity as an excuse to leave the land, which is to say that the children of Israel at some point, up to this point, had displayed or exhibited some tendencies for autonomy. They wanted to be their own people, separate land. Are you getting me? That's why he brought this. But he realized that if their aspirations should become a reality, that also will mean they will take the prosperity of Egypt with them. And why is it important? Now look on the screen again. This is where the importance comes in. I told you last week, and I'm repeating it, with the diagram, the way it works is that children inherit from parents, not the other way around. So if you look at the country of Egypt, look on the screen where it is. Can you see where I'm pointing? Right? The country of Egypt, whatever comes under it, you will find in the country of Egypt. So the prosperity of the children of Israel actually first resides in the country of Egypt. And it is inherited by the children of Israel.
Say it again.
Okay. Because children or parents pass on their traits to their children, not the other way around. Which is to say, children inherit their traits or whatever it is about them from their parents. Are you getting me? So whatever is in a child is first in the parent. So everything in a child you will find in the parent, but not everything you find in the parent you necessarily will find in the child. Are you not getting the point? Every set contains the subsets or the elements that make up that set. Are you understanding? So a subset contains some segments or some properties that is first present in the parent set. So if the children of Israel, who were part of the people of Israel or of Egypt at this time, if they were prosperous, that prosperity actually came from the country of Egypt. Because everything will come from the parent and flow down to the child. So, arguably, the children of Israel, if they had the opportunity to move out of Egypt with everything they had, they will be living with Egypt's prosperity that first came from Egypt. Now you see the justification why something like this will happen. And it will help you to understand the world. That it is for Christians, when reading a text like this, the first thing our heart goes out to the people of our faith, right? It goes out to the Egyptians. But we don't appreciate the dimensions involved in the problem. And that's why, for any country where there are serious inequities, you are likely to see serious problems. And that is why America is going through the problem it is going now. Because there are serious inequities. You have people with all the money, and you have people with nothing. Are you not getting the point, Clay? So you take Trump and the government, what is the cry? Tax cuts that are going to happen, which will seem like it will reduce the load on the masses. In actual fact, is going to the people who already have the money in the first place. So it will be the people without the money who actually will be subsidizing the people with money, with the tax cut. Are you understanding? And that is what you have to understand. The king was trying, maybe genuinely or not genuinely, trying to bring some sort of balance in the system, right? So that the blessing of the country of Egypt, right, will not be appropriated inequitably by just a segment of the people. Is that making sense? With that, yeah, it makes sense. Yes, it is something we have that needs to be done. That is where a ruler, leadership, becomes important here. So this test is not just about some evil king. It's about a balancing act of leadership. Are you getting the Peter Clay? Whether we like it or not, that's the brutal truth. Because the prosperity of the children of Israel first belongs here to the country of Egypt. Because the country of Egypt is the parent set. The children of Israel is a subset of the country of Egypt. So the prosperity of the children of Israel is first the prosperity of Egypt. Are you not getting the point?
Mhm.
So if Israel is going to live, they would like to live with the prosperity, right? Would it be their prosperity?
No.
No, yes, sir. But that is the complication in the text. It's forcing you to look at things differently now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now he lays out, and then he says, let's use wisdom. Now, verse 11, therefore, will introduce us to the execution of the plan of wisdom. Wisdom becomes both a tactical and a strategic method. Are you understanding?
Mm-hmm.
Both strategic and tactical, that is both operational and visionary. Let's look at the operational side. The operational side is where we see verse 11. That's why it says, therefore, they set over the Israelites task masters. Is that making sense?
Mm-hmm.
Task masters. And task masters, they were to supervise them. That's operational. But the question is, what was the overall goal of the Pharaoh at this time? Let's go back to verse 11. And we realize that he specified and he said, first they will multiply, right?
Mm-hmm.
2,
Verse 10. Mm-hmm.
that's verse 10. They will first multiply. 2, they will join in a war with the enemies, which means they will become an army, right?
Mm-hmm.
3, they will fight against Israel, not just moral support, against Egypt. And 4, they will try to get or migrate out of the land. None of which was allowable. None was permissible. They did not want them to multiply. They did not want them to become an army and join forces with external enemies. They did not want them to fight against their own king and king. They did not want them to get out of the land. So everything that was designed, everything that was being done from verse 11 was to achieve these 4 goals. Either reduce the numbers of the Egyptians or prevent it from growing from beyond what it was at the time. Are you now understanding? Mm-hmm. So there will be no multiplication. 2, Israel will not even be able to become soldier worthy. Are you understanding? Mm-hmm. They must not develop the strength to constitute an army. 3, we must make it impossible for them to fight. And 4, we must make it impossible for them to live.
To get out of the country.
Are you not getting the picture clear? Mm-hmm. So setting up the tax masters was such a heavy thing. 1, the tax masters were to sap them of their ability to reproduce. The taskmasters were to engage them in physical labor so that they will not have the time to train for fight. They will not be able to train for any fight or to fight, period. Are you understanding?
Mm-hmm.
And 4, to be contained in the same place so that their aspiration of autonomy would die with them. That was the whole plan. That was the whole plan. Are you understanding? So let's see how they went about it. Set over taskmasters, and look at the term that was used, to afflict them with what? Burdens. The word burden itself is loaded. And the word afflict is to introduce pain with the load.
Mm.
Now, you get the picture. Not just they are just working, but introduce pain as part of their work.
Mm.
I mean, that's why careful reading of this text is paramount. And the whole idea, the goal for all this, they won't grow in numbers. They wouldn't constitute a fighting group. They will not be able to fight. And 3 and 4, they cannot get out of the land. Because why? The eyes of the taskmasters will be constantly on them, inflicting pain whilst they are working. Are you getting the picture clear?
Mm-hmm.
Now we see an example. They built treasure cities for the Pharaoh. Now I want you to get a picture, an interesting picture. They built treasure cities for whom?
For the Pharaoh.
But let's look at the text. In verse 11, who set the taskmasters up? Who set them over the
That's over them. The
Who?
people. The people.
Did it include the king?
No.
It would. But yes, if it didn't include them, when their labor was used to construct something, who was the beneficiary?
The king.
The king, but not the people. Are you not getting the picture clear?
Mm-hmm.
The king was the direct beneficiary of the output of the children of Israel, not the people. So now you understand the author is chipping away at this excuse of not knowing Joseph. The not knowing Joseph was just an excuse to do something that will benefit him, not the people. What is happening in America? Is it the people who are benefiting?
No.
Now you are understanding the human condition.
Mm-mm.
You will think that this is a new thing. No. It has happened, and Egypt is just one example. It has happened throughout history. It's happening in Ghana right now. When people are voted into power, who benefit? Isn't it the king, the president and his cronies?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's what is happening. That's what the author is stating indirectly.
Mm-mm.
Right? So kings use, or rulers use the people they hide behind the people to achieve their own personal ends.
Most leaders.
Yeah. That's what Moses is saying in this text. And that's why this test becomes such an important test to master. Is that making sense? Okay. Now let's land, right? Let's land with it. Verse 11 says they built treasure cities. Treasure, look at the word. What is treasure? Something of value, right? They built it for the Pharaoh, not the people. Not the people. They built it for the Pharaoh. Okay. Now, why, I will ask you, try to answer. Why would the text say in verse 12 that, but the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew, and they were grieved, and the day there, and they were grieved because of the children of Israel. The day there would refer to who?
The people of Egypt.
No, it won't be the people, the tax masters.
Therefore, they did not say that.
Because from 11 to 12, right, is the relationship between the tax masters and the Egyptians. Right? The first part of verse 11 is where the king people set over the Egyptians, set the tax masters over the Egyptians. From that point on, it is the tax masters and the people of Israel.
Okay, when you come to 30, it says, and the Egyptians made the children of Israel.
No, we are crawling. Don't worry.
With rigor.
Yeah, we are crawling, right? Because look at it, we have the rigor, right? Because the rigor had to do with hard bondage, right? But the tax masters had to do with affliction with burdens. Are you getting the picture clear now? Yeah, and we want to make the distinction. Even if it was the same people, different names have been used, and we want to identify what was happening. Right? So we've said that verse 11 is the implementation stage of the plan that was hatched in verse 10. Is that making sense? And the first stage of the implementation was to set over tax masters, right? Set tax masters over the Israelites with the purpose of afflicting the Israelites with burdens. Is that making sense? And I said the two words, affliction and burden, wow, burden itself is load that literally saps a person's strength, right? And now you add affliction there. The word affliction is to cause pain. To afflict means to cause pain, right? So in burden somebody with pain added. And what was the goal of that? Person, we don't want these people to multiply. We don't want them to grow. We don't want them to even have the time to train to fight. We don't want them to fight us. We don't want them to get away from us. Is that making sense?
Can I ask a question? 13.
Yeah, please go ahead.
The 13, verse 11. Who did we say the people they? Therefore,
Yeah,
they did
the day
is the
will be the
Egyptians.
king people. The first part is the king people. Because therefore they did set over them. Don't forget in verse 9, 10, it was the king and the people that constituted his audience. Right? And so they decided to set up a system, right? And that system was the taskmaster system.
Okay. Okay.
So the day there will be the king people, maybe including the king.
Including the king, okay.
Yes, maybe, right? And so they set up the taskmasters with the purpose of the taskmasters to inflict pain, right? Burden the children of Israel, right? And as part of it, introduce pain. Not just burden them, add pain to the burden. Right? Oh, right? And as an example of what was done, was that they became what? Building construction people. So they built a treasure city, Pithom and Ramses, for the king, for the Pharaoh, not the people. Period. Right? So the supervisors for the building of the treasure cities were taskmasters. But the laborers were who? The children of Israel. Right? Isn't it the same thing that was done here? The slave masters, right? They had people, the slave owners had what we call overseers who would not hesitate to lynch the slaves for any small infraction, any little infraction. Are you getting the picture clear? So the same thing you are looking at. Right? Is that. So, verse 12 tells us the more they afflicted, right? One, the day would refer to who?
The more they afflicted, that is
So,
the taskmasters. You were saying
okay, and the them will refer to who?
The people, children of Israel.
Israel. That's how you make sense of the text. So the taskmasters were afflicting pain in addition to burden on the children of Israel. But what was the result? It didn't work. So the goal was backfiring right before them. Are you not getting the point clear? Because instead of reducing or stalling the multiplication of the numbers of Israel, they rather multiplied. And not only did they multiply, they increased in strength, because that's what the grew there mean. So the whole goal, right, or goals that were spelled out in verse 10, they were backfiring in verse 12. And so let's look at the second part of verse 12. And it says, and they were grieved because of the children of Israel. The day there will refer to whom?
The more they grew, the more the taskmasters.
And so the question is, why would the taskmasters grieve? Wasn't it supposed to be the children of Israel who would be grieving? Are you not getting the picture clear? Who was supposed to grieve? Wasn't it the children of Israel who were suffering? But why were the tax masters rather grieving?
Because they were growing, they were multiplying, rather growing.
So they are failed in what they were asked to do. Are you not getting the picture clear? The tax master system failed. Are you not getting the small thing? It failed. Now we will end with.
So does it mean that when the tax master couldn't bring, that's why the Egyptians took over?
So now we started with tax masters. Now we are looking at Egyptians. You see how the terms are changing. Are you not getting the picture? That's what I want you to pay attention to this. So now the tax masters will be just a small portion, but the Egyptian term will include the whole of the non-Israelite population of Egypt.
That includes all of them, the king, the taskmasters, and everybody.
That's what. And with them, look at the method they introduced, right? Read verse 13. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with what?
Rigor.
Rigor. So let's look at it. The tax masters were, their method was to inflict pain to the in addition to the burden. The Egyptians this time with rigor. Two different terms. Now I want you to the numbers, the size of the term Egyptians will be more than the size of the term tax master. Is that making sense? Because the Egyptian will be all the people who are not Israelite. The tax masters will just be a segment of the Egyptian population, non-Israelite Egyptian population. Right? But this time, the term Egyptian will include everybody but Israel. So everybody got involved in the subjugation of the children of Israel. And not only now, the numbers of the people carrying out the punishment or whatever, the number has increased, and then the amount of pain and intensity had also increased. Getting something out of it.
Yeah, I'm relating it to this country.
The takeaway number one is for you to become a critical reader, in addition to becoming a critical thinker, right? Being able to identify what an author is saying without saying by the choice of what he says. That making sense? I think we can stop here. We can hear. Okay.
That's powerful. That's powerful.
We thank God.